Thanks for having me. My name is Theodora Skeadas, Theo for short. I'm joining from Cambridge, Massachusetts, and I work at DoorDash on our community policy team, looking at issues of safety and supporting our work around authenticity and fraud and quality. And I also work part-time at a nonprofit called Humane Intelligence that does AI evaluations for harm.
Wonderful. And could you describe what human-centered AI or technology more generally looks like to you?
Yeah, I think a big component of it is including people in the design process. For example, I used to work at Twitter and I supported our Global Trust and Safety Council, where we actually involved expert civil society organizations in the process of improving our products and our policies. I think that's a best practice, including affected stakeholder groups in the design of products and policies that impact them.
Yeah. Is there anything that you think we should be talking about in the technological world that we're not right now?
Sure. I mean, I do think that there are a lot of conversations that are ongoing. One of the conversations that I don't hear as frequently discussed that I do think deserves a bigger conversation is systemic, looking specifically at wealth and power accumulation by a small number of players that has an outsized impact on the economy. Antitrust is another way of referring to this broad category of work, but thinking about competition policy and enabling a diverse competitive landscape that isn't beholden to a small, select number of players, but where really anybody can participate as a stakeholder.
So unpack that for us a little bit more, moving towards that ideal question of what does an ideal world of technology look like to you, but maybe specifically around this antitrust thing, which can be really negative for good reasons, like critical, but what does it mean on the flip side? Like, what does it mean? Paint us a picture.
Yeah, I think to me a world where responsible technology thrives is, at least in part, a world where the barriers to access for new entrants are lower than they are now. In a lot of ways, it's very hard to access venture capital funds for new entrants. It's hard to scale. It's hard to participate. We often think of this as a time when a huge number of players can participate, but the reality is actually the barriers to access are very high. And outside of the responsible tech space, it's harder to be a small business owner, right? It's sort of up and down the technology stack and across the society, the US, in many different forms. So I think lowered barriers to access means that you have more organizations run by diverse leaders in all of its forms, so that more ideas can actually surface and people have a wider range of features and products and services to choose from.
Going a little bit more specific and grounded, do you have a story or an example, maybe at DoorDash, maybe in general in the world, of technology for good, maybe in your own life even?
Yeah, technology for good. Sure. At DoorDash, we recently authored our first set of community guidelines. And so what this means is we created a more accessible set of policies that previously were housed in more legalese documentation and now are more readable. So folks who want to learn about our policies on safety and respect and authenticity don't have to sift through legalese jargon to see that language, but instead there's a one-stop shop, a single web page that lists all of those policies in broad strokes so that they're accessible for folks trying to understand our policies as they relate to Dashers, customers, and merchants. And I think this is part of a larger suite of efforts to translate technical language into more accessible formats for users to understand more readily.
Great. Well, that's my last question. Thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure.